So first of all, kia ora everyone, and welcome to this webinar about changes that are imminent to the National Library's lending service for schools. And before we get underway with the webinar in full, I'm just going to start us with a karakia to begin with. So here we go. Whakataka te hau ki te uru, whakataka te hau ki te tonga, kia mākena kina ki uta, kia mātaratara ki tai. E hiaki ana te atakura, he tio, he huka, he hauhu, tihei mauri ora. Rightio. So the first thing I need to do today is to introduce you to the panelists in our webinar. We are going to be joined by Anne Morgan, first of all, who is Services to Schools National Manager for Reading. And the rest of our panelists, first of all, is me, Miriam Tui, and I'm the School Library Development Specialist based in Wellington. And the rest of our capable crew today is Kathy Kennedy, who's one of our facilitators in Christchurch. And we have Chrissy Blair, facilitator from Auckland, Maxine Ramsey, who's a facilitator in Dunedin, and helping us with the Q&A and chat today is Anne Dixon, one of our facilitators from Auckland. Behind the scenes, we've got also Nicole Gaston, who's our tech support person, giving us a hand today just in case. So a wee bit of housekeeping first of all. You will have joined this webinar in listen-only mode. But you can communicate with us using the buttons on your Zoom toolbar. So you should be able to see, possibly on the bottom of your screen or in your Zoom toolbar, wherever that's sitting right now, a chat button. Feel free to type any questions or comments into the chat. There's a little drop-down box in there that lets you choose whether you are sending that message to everyone in the webinar or if you want it to go just to the hosts and panelists. So check that before you hit enter on any chat messages. You can also pop any questions for us into the Q&A using that button, and Anne will be keeping an eye on the questions coming in there and the chat during the webinar. What we'll do though is I think we will hold those questions over and answer those at the end of the session. And the third button you might want to just have a quick look for is the raise your hand button. If you're having any tech difficulties at all, you could use that. Nicole will be keeping an eye out for people with their hands up, and she'll do her best to solve any problems. Or you can drop an email to Nicole if you're really having some issues with Zoom. If you've got to duck away during the meeting, you can click leave meeting button in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. If you accidentally leave and need to come back, just use the link that we sent you in the invitation and you'll be able to get straight back in. Okay, that's it for housekeeping, and we will get underway. So I'm going to pass this over to Anne Morgan. Kia ora, Anne.
I'll try that again. Kia ora Miriam. Kia ora everyone. Helps to unmute. First of all, I'd like to just apologise for my ethereal glow. I'm trying to dodge out of the sun here, but I'm not doing a very good job. So I'll just lean on my desk and then you can see me properly. So kia ora tātou everyone. Welcome to this webinar. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about what we're doing and why. For those of you, most of you will know that Services to Schools has been lending books to schools for a long time, 75 years to be precise. We have a stunning collection of over 500,000 items for you to borrow, and the items are selected by our skilled team of librarians, many of whom are ex-teachers, ex-school librarians and ex-public librarians, and they know the collection inside out and are very good at finding the best books in our collection to suit your requirements and your teacher requirements. It's a really great low-cost way to supplement your classroom or school library. We often have books that aren't readily available for school libraries to buy, such as our World Language collection and our accessible collections. And to give you an idea of the value that you can get from using our service, an extra reading top-up of 100 books is worth somewhere in the region of $3,000. And you can have these books in your school for a whole term for just the price of a courier ticket. Over time, there have been several iterations to our lending model for schools. Most of you will know that we made some significant changes to the lending model in 2016. And those schools that use us have adapted really well to the new loan coordinator model. But we know there are still some issues with it, and we are trying to improve it to make it easier for you to use. So we're making some changes in response to your feedback, which will be implemented when the dashboard opens for term 4 borrowing on the 30th of August. So the two main changes we are making is that in your dashboard, you can now add your requests to a trolley. So it'll look much like online shopping. You'll then be able to send your topic selections to us as they are ready, meaning that teachers that get their requirements to their loan coordinators nice and early in the term don't have to wait until all the requirements from other teachers have been received before the request is sent to us. You can complete a topic or selection and send it to us immediately, which we hope is good news. It'll go into the queue for processing earlier, and teachers should get their books more quickly, which we hope means happy teachers. And the second change, to help you manage how many books you receive and to ensure that you can make full use of your term's allocation, we're asking you on the dashboard to tell us how many books that you would like to receive for a particular topic. We know, and you know, that for some topics, supply will be limited by what we have available and how high the demand is for a particular topic at a particular time. So we'll update your dashboard with the numbers we have managed to put into your loan request once we've processed your loan, so that then you can use the remaining allocation for something else. So it's a dynamic way of keeping track. You're controlling how many books you get, and we're updating you with how many books we're able to send you. You'll also be able to check your dashboard for the status of your request, so you'll know where it vaguely is in the processing cycle. Last, by no means least, you will still be able to order a reading top-up of up to 100 books once a term, as well as specific titles when you need them. So we hope that these two changes will make it a lot easier for you to use, and we welcome your feedback to continue to help us make the service even better. So I'll hand over to Kathy now, and she can talk to you about how to get ready for putting your loan request in.
Thanks, Anne. That's great. Hi, everybody. I'm Kathy Kennedy, and I'm one of the facilitators based in Christchurch. And what we're going to do now is we're going to, now that Anne's given you sort of a bit of an overview of the changes that are coming, we're going to take you through step by step a whole overview of the lending process. So hopefully on your screen now, you can see those 4 main steps that you will go through as a school loan coordinator. And I'm going to start down at number 1, of course, which is working with your teachers to plan your requests or gathering all the information that you need to place that request and get what the teachers need. Now, I'm going to be talking to you today as if we're in school. So it's not from level 4 lockdown in our homes. So what I'm going to be saying is a perfect world when we're all back at school. So here's a few little tips and tricks about gathering that information. So use familiar communication channels. Find out what your teams or departments use now to stay in the loop with each other. How do they communicate? And tap into those if you can. Find out what your team planning cycles are in your school. If you know when teachers are getting together to plan ahead for the term or plan ahead for the semester or the year, or however they like to do it. If you know when that's happening, you can then make contact with them and find out if there's anything they need from the National Library. You may need to send a few timely reminders out about what people would like from the National Library, and this might change a little bit to what you've done in the past in light of what Anne's just been telling us. because the topic request can now be placed throughout the whole request period at any time. Up until now, you might have been making contact just once in the request period to put that whole school loan in. So a few little extra reminders might be needed now. And finally, make it really easy for everyone, including you, the school loan coordinator. You don't want to add another layer of work for anyone. So whatever you set up to gather that information, keep it really easy. So a few examples of what that might look like in your school, and of course there's email, so a pretty universal form of communication that we all have. You might set yourself up a template that you can just fire off to the teachers at different times through the request period to make it easy for you. But do remember, we all suffer from a little bit of email overload sometimes, and so they can get buried. So you might want to put in a slightly different form of communication just to go alongside that. There's nothing like attending staff meetings and being face-to-face with the teachers and getting it right from the horse's mouth. So if you can go along to a staff meeting or a team meeting or a staff briefing, find out what the teachers would like, and you can get all the information right then and there. If you can't be at the staff meeting, why not talk to the team leader or the head of department and get it added to the agenda? If you're on there as an agenda item, needs from the National Library, the staff can discuss it, and they might be able to sit in the meeting right there and then and fire an email off to you. You might even want to think about trying to get it on as a regular agenda item. So if there's a monthly staff meeting or a team meeting, on that agenda every time is, what does anyone want from the National Library? Make use of staff notice boards if you've got them. You might have a whiteboard in your staff room with a what's on today or what's coming up. Pop up there a little reminder about requests for the National Library, or you might have a virtual notice board. If you've got a school intranet and there's a staff notice board in that intranet, pop some reminders up there about requests for National Library. And of course, there's your library online. If you've got a library homepage or a library blog, create a little information box just for teachers. It might have a link back to your email, and there will just be that constant reminder about National Library and keeping it really front of mind. Of course, there may be lots of other ways that you gather that information from staff in your school. And if you've got a handy tip, pop it in the chat, because there may be a way that you have found is just the best way to gather that information from all your teachers. Now, of course, it's not just getting the information, it's getting all the right information. And you want all the information that you need to add into the dashboard. And here you've got an example on your screen of a form that we make available on our website. You can download this, print it out, hand it to the teachers. They can just pop it back into your pigeonhole or email it back to you, whatever works. And you have all of the information you need all at once. There's no having to go back and forth with emails or chasing teachers up to find out exactly what they wanted or clarify that loan request. Now, of course, you don't have to use this form or do it in this format. You might create a Google form and use that. You might create a template inside an email. It's just however it works for you. But make sure, and again, you know, it comes back to making it easy, make sure in one hit the teachers can tell you all of the information that you need to place that loan request. So finally, once you've decided on how you're going to gather that information and you've set up all those great channels, you need to actually tell your teachers all about it. And so in the coming weeks, hopefully, when we're all back in school, get some time maybe in a staff meeting and tell the teachers about the changes that are coming. And tell the teachers the best ways that they can actually communicate with you and place that loan request information. So there's step one done. We've gathered all the information we need for a request. And so I'm going to hand over to Chrissy now, who's actually going to take you step by step through the new dashboard and actually submitting all that information in there. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Chrissy.
Hello everybody, and thank you, Kathy. I'm Chrissy Blair and I'm part of the Auckland team of facilitators, and our next step is to look at how to create and submit your requests online. So on the website will be appearing a whole lot of new information about our new lending model, which will all be updated along with the new forms to download. Let's take a walk through the new dashboard. So what you'll see after you've signed in as the loan coordinator for your school. You can see here that there are 3 types of requests: topic selection, extra reading, and specific titles. Your topic selections are curriculum related for topics you might be studying in class, for example, animals living in the bush. A topic selection can also be for reading engagement for the library or for the classroom, such as reading for pleasure for a particular year group, or more graphic novels to supplement your library collection. This panel also tells you how many books and topics you're entitled to and how many are still unused. This information is updated as your orders are processed. Next is extra reading. This used to be called the reading top-up, a bonus lot of books, up to 100. Just tell us how many and we'll choose them for you. Then specific titles. We've sometimes called these anytime requests, and you can ask for them at any time. You tell us exactly which titles you want. And then there's the trolley. As you add requests, they'll first of all show in your trolley, just like online shopping. Your order won't go through until you take your trolley through the checkout. Check out when you're ready, and you can do this at any time. You won't have to wait until you have your whole school's requests ready, and you can include a selection of topics requests, extra reading, and specific titles. Below these 3 options, there's a link to our digital resources, so you can also quickly access material online on the topics you're interested in. Next, let's look at the form for a topic selection. The top part of this form hasn't changed. Just enter your learning area and the details of your curriculum topic, being as clear as possible about what you want. Then add the reading ages and year levels the loan is for. And for secondary schools, the reading age will now go up to 18. Below this are the new things we'd like you to tell us. This includes how many books you would like. This is to help you manage the number of books you'll receive and also your cost to send them back to us, remembering that we send the books out to you free of charge, but the school is responsible for the cost of sending them back. This number might also reflect how many books you want for your group of students, just a few or a lot. You'll see a note that there are about 30 books per box. Next is substitutions. So if we aren't able to supply the number of books that you want, you have 3 options. We can make up the number with high interest books for reading for pleasure. We can just send you the books that we have available on your topic, or we can contact you so you can choose another topic. If you're a high school or composite school, you can borrow from our Wellington lending collections, but these have special lending conditions and you'll need to opt into these. So here you're asked if you do or don't want this option. And finally, hit the Add to Trolley button, and this topic selection is complete. Next, we'll look at what happens when you order extra reading. You can request a loan of extra reading once a term. This is a selection of high interest fiction and non-fiction to engage your readers. Simply tell us how many books you would like, 25, 50, 75 or 100. Use these however you would like, in a classroom, in your library or at home. It's a great way to add some fresh titles for borrowing or to use for holiday reading. And on to our third option, specific titles, when you want a particular book. It's now much easier to find the book that you want when you're ordering a specific title. As well as searching for title or author, you can look for a specific ISBN. We recommend searching the catalogue for the book that you want and then enter its ISBN number here. You can also choose which collection you're selecting from. This will only show the collections that are available to your school. So the school's lending collection for everyone and the Wellington collections for secondary and composite schools. You can now also select the edition that you want. This will enable you to choose from our special collections, world languages and accessible formats. You might want to request a book in dyslexic font or large print, and you can select that particular edition. Once you've selected your title, advise what date the book is not needed after. And if you're a secondary or composite school, if you want to borrow from the Wellington collection with its special lending conditions. This part doesn't show up if you're primary or intermediate. Then click Add to Trolley. You can put in up to 5 specific titles in one trolley. Anytime during your ordering process, you can look in your trolley and see what you have requested. There are two ways of viewing your trolley. This is the way that it looks on the side of the dashboard. If you click View Edit, you can go into this view for more details. From either view, you can change or delete items in the trolley, and from either location, you can edit a topic selection or change the amount of extra reading you want, and you can also delete any item. When you're happy with your request, click the Checkout button or continue browsing to add more to your trolley. If you're ordering specific titles, you can include up to 5 items in your trolley, then you'll need to check them out before you can request more. If you're ordering around holiday time, we need to know when your school is open for us to deliver your order, so put your dates in here. This is an optional field. You also need to tick the 2 boxes at the bottom to acknowledge that you know that you can't change your requests once you've submitted them, and that due to demand, some books may not be available. Then click I understand, submit my request, which will put your order through, or wait, I'm not ready yet, which will leave your order waiting in the trolley. And now we're back for another look further down the dashboard. We show you the numbers of books requested and then supplied. So these numbers are updated as orders are processed, first showing what you've ordered, then modified to show what you have been sent. You can also see the status of your order, if it's been received or is being processed, completed, or has been cancelled. You can see up to 5 recent requests here. Click the View Full Details link on a request to see the whole thing. Or if you want to see all your school's past requests, click the See All Requests link at the top. This is what the request archive looks like if you've clicked on that link. It's very useful if you have repeat topics or to see what your school's usage has been in the past. I'd check this if I was new to a school or if you want to duplicate a past request. And back to the dashboard. At the bottom of the dashboard, you can see the lending period, so you can plan when to put your requests in and when your books are due back. If you've used all of your current allocation, you could look here to see when you'll be able to order more in the next lending period. That brings us to the end of our tour of our new dashboard. You can pop any questions into the chat for us to answer at the end. And now I'm going to hand over to Maxine to talk about managing the books in your school.
Thanks, Chrissy. I'm going to talk to you about the steps 3 and 4 in the process. Firstly, yay, your National Library books have arrived. The main thing to think about when the books arrive, and to reiterate what Kathy was saying earlier, is making things as easy as possible for you and your staff, your teachers. I'm going to share a few tips here, but there's really no right or wrong with this. And if you have ideas that you'd like to share in the chat, please do, because it's always really great to hear what's worked well for people. Firstly, of course, unpack the books. This is the exciting part. Open each box up, make a copy of the list that arrives with each box so that you've got a master set of lists just in case the others go missing. You might want some books to stay in the library, some might be going into classrooms or the staff room or to be shared in other places. So keeping track is the main thing. You might decide to label the boxes so that they're labelled with which room they're going to, the number of books in that box, and then they can just be picked up and distributed. Some schools add the books to their catalogue so that they can then be issued and returned on the library management system. And this is something we can help you with. Just get in touch with us and we can help you through that process. Also, another idea here from a school is that they photograph the books so that they know what's in each box and they're easily visually identified when it comes to picking them up and returning them. Sharing the books. This is really fun, and you can do lots of things like book selling them around classrooms and assemblies in the staff room, create displays in the library, in classrooms. And of course, we have read alouds, which you can request specifically by title. Try a keyword search for read aloud in our catalogue, and you can refine by filters such as genre. Then you can see what's in our collection to share that way. We always encourage people in schools to share our books, not only in school, but also to enjoy them at home. And this is something we've talked about a lot with schools. Let them go home with the kids, particularly around term 4, when you might have a loan from us that you can use for summer reading to support reading over the holidays. It's all about sharing the books at home with families. And also you might want to take a note of any great titles that you've borrowed from us that you want to add to your library collection. And then of course, after all of that, it's time to pack the books up and send them back to us. The due dates for your books are on the lists that come with each box. So remind your staff to bring the books back to your returns area, wherever that might be. Check off the books against the list, pop them in the box, and your student librarians, if you have them, might be able to help you with this process. Tape up the box, attach an address label. We have these available on our website. You can download the labels and put them on the box, and then put an NZ Post ticket on the box and send it back to us. There are NZ Post special rates, so you can return books in a very economic way to us, and that information is also on our website. One thing we want to emphasise, and I'm always saying this when I'm in schools, is please remember, yes, we love to get our books back, but sometimes the odd one or two or a few might not come back in the same loan. If they've become overdue or lost, don't worry, we don't charge overdues and we don't invoice for lost books from the school's lending collection. Just get in touch with us if you're unsure about any of this. And also the same with damaged books. Things happen sometimes with drink bottles and bags and so on. Don't worry, get in touch with us if you're worried, but please let the books be shared as widely as possible and return as many as you can, and those that gravitate back at a later date can always come back in another box. Just get in touch with us if you've got any worries. And I'm now going to hand back to Anne Dixon for the Q&A. Once I've stopped sharing my screen.
Once you stop sharing your screen. Thank you very much, Maxine. That's awesome. And I would just like to say, I'm on the Q&A and the feedback section, and I'd just like to say that we really do appreciate getting feedback and having people give us questions, because without that we wouldn't have been able to develop this new update for the lending dashboard to make it easier for you. So thank you for any feedback you've given. Thank you for all the ideas that come in, because we do listen to them, and we've even had one or two that are in our have been in the chat so far, so it's been really, really good. Thank you also at this point to all the schools that have helped us with the testing for this dashboard, because it has gone through some rather robust testing. Now, in terms of feedback, there will be a banner on the dashboard to enable you to provide feedback, but the notes are the two addresses on your screen, the email address for School Library Advice Line and our 0800 number, 0800 542 5463, are the two ways that you can get in touch with us, ask us questions, provide feedback. And I have apologised in advance to all the 0800 operators that are on duty for the next few weeks, and offered to help them, because I'm going to say that and repeat that number again. Now, we've had quite a few questions come in, which has been really, really awesome. And I'm going to get Anne Morgan, and we're going to be the A team, Anne, to help out with some of these. The first one was a really simple one from another Anne, so we'll start there. Are the login details going to stay the same and transfer over to the new dashboard? And the answer to that one is a resounding yes. So you won't have any new registration, passwords, numbers, or anything like that to fiddle around with. The other one that Anne asked is, can we still return our books to the site? And once we are down in levels, the answer to that is also yes. But at the moment, just hold on to your books. So there's that. Now, we had a really good question from Jodie, which is something that I hadn't actually thought about. Are there plans to open up the National Children's Collection to borrow via the lending service? Because it is something that's available to interloan if you work through your public library. And I believe that's come up a couple of times recently.
It has. It wasn't always the case that you could borrow from NCC, but I think that they've relaxed their requirements a little in recent times. If there is a book in NCC and the same book is in the Services to Schools collection, we would absolutely prefer you to borrow it from us, simply because you can have it for longer and there's no fees attached. But because we've had a number of inquiries recently, it is something we'll look at once we're back off levels and in the office. So watch this space.
Okay, thank you for that. As I say, great ideas. We want them. A question that comes up a lot on 0800 is, can we borrow more than one of a title? And even if it's not a full class set, can we borrow just 2 or 3? So I know that what we try to do is make titles available to as many schools as possible. So sometimes that's just not practical. Have you got anything to add to that, Anne?
Yeah, that's right, Anne. We can't do it in any really sustainable way. We would run out of books in lots of areas if we did that. But we are currently actively exploring how we might make a limited number of titles available in more than one copy in a sort of a targeted way. So, as I say, we're doing a sort of quiet trial and some work in the background. And again, that's a bit of a watch this space.
Yes, we have lots of projects happening in the background to keep us busy. Kathy wanted to know whether or not she can get a list of outstanding books so she can go hunting for them when it comes time. And I think Maxine had a really good idea that it's always good to take a copy of the list that you get with your in your box of books, because things happen. It will always turn up underneath the pile of paper that you've got in your office after you've gone hunting and sent the books back. So if you have a couple of copies or even scan it into your email inbox, that's always a good idea. But yes, if you want a copy, if you can't find any of those, just give us a call on 0800 and we can organise a copy of what's been issued to you so that you can go hunting in all those weird and wonderful places that teachers and students put them. Also, remember, Maxine said, don't worry about if you can't find it or if it's damaged, because it can always come back with the next lot. And also just a reminder that if you can't find a book and you can't return it, that is not going to affect your ability to put in your loan requests for the following term. So that's really good. Now I'm just going to look slightly sideways because we've got a few other things that have come up. A couple of them are related. We've got one here about manga and another one about serial graphic novels, because there's no way for schools to buy the entire set. Unfortunately, there's not really any way for the National Library to buy entire sets, especially of the manga. We do have a graphic novels collection, but unfortunately your best bet for manga will be your local public library. Is there anything that you can add to that, Anne?
Look, I think we are buying some. You know, we have to be careful with the senior secondary graphic novels because often, you know, they can be very graphic. So, you know, we always make sure that, you know, if they are of that vein, they're carefully labelled so that you know. But if you have any particular requests for buying, do send them to us. We have one of our librarians who's very knowledgeable about graphic novels, and she does the buying in that area. So I'm sure she's always open for suggestions.
And I think I also saw a question there about, as I say, about manga. Somebody else said the dashboard looks good and they really like the way that they can that they can put their requests in and not have to chase everything up at the same time. Just trying to find out, just seeing whether there's any other new ones there. Scrolling up, scrolling down. What happens if one of your books goes home from the school library and gets lost? It's found a good home. Somebody will be appreciating it. Our mantra is books and home. And if that means that on the odd occasion something doesn't come back to us to go out again, we're just working on the basis that it's found a very good home where it will be well loved. Okay, so we've done that one, we've done that one, we've done that one. Do we have a list of books that we know a certain age groups like? For example, year 6. We don't actually have book lists. One of the things that we recommend for book lists, because they are always they go out of date so quickly. But one of the best things that you can do if you're not already logged into it is join the school library listserv, or join somebody like Slanza, who do have book lists, and the school library listserv is a group of school librarians and experts that are full of knowledge on the ground that will be able to give you some recommendations. So those are 2 things that you could do. Cherry has asked if schools need to use New Zealand Post couriers or can you use other providers. That is completely up to you. It's simply that we have tried to negotiate a really good deal with you through New Zealand Post. So the details for how to inquire about that are on our website. It is a door-to-door service. But if there's any issues, again, phone our 0800 number and we can give you some more information about that. Have we got something in the chat? Dyslexia books, can we actually look up and see what you have so you can order these for your students? Yes, you can. Now, Chrissy can say something about that. Yep. Sure. So if you go to our catalogue and if you just type in dyslexia at the top, or the subject you're looking for, or the author, you've also got in your filters down the side where you can tick for dyslexia, and it will show you the books that we have in that range.
Cool, Miriam.
Anne,
yeah.
I was just going to say, because we actually have a little bit of time, we could try something a teeny little bit risky here and actually just demonstrate to people how that works. And also the read aloud search that Maxine touched on a little bit earlier. So I thought if we did a switch of screen sharing, we could
Okay, I will stop sharing.
A 1 minute demo of what that looks like for people.
All right, so I'll just stop sharing so that you can jump on.
Okay.
And I will remove the work from home animal from my desk.
Okay. So I'm just going to show you, hopefully you are seeing my browser. Just don't look too closely at how many tabs I have open right now. But if you come to the National Library's website on the main part of it and click through to search our catalogue, you'll end up here. And the first thing that I'm going to do is just type in dyslexic, or dyslexia will work as well. And I'm going to jump across to here where it says collections. I'm just going to choose the schools lending collection really quickly there and search. And it is going to find a whole lot of results for us, 238 results. But as Chrissy was saying, if you scroll down a little bit here on the side to this genre form box, you can see dyslexia friendly books. So I'm going to tick that one on, and then, oops, oh, I've got to move you out of the way, sorry. There's my apply filters box gone. Oh dear. I told you this was risky, didn't I? There it is. I had a toolbar sitting over the top of it. apply those filters, and you can now see that I've just got 139 results showing, and these are all the ones that are showing up in our accessible collections. So if you wanted to borrow, for instance, the 10 p.m. question with the dyslexic font, I could come click through to here, grab the ISBN of that book. I'll just scroll down a little bit. Come in here, copy the ISBN there, paste that into my specific title request, and off I go. And I know I'm getting exactly the right book. So the other thing that Maxine mentioned was read alouds. So if I just change my search really quickly and put in read aloud there, and once again, scroll down here to genre form, we've got a tag there, read aloud. Apply that filter, and off you go. So that will show you a list of things that our librarians have tagged as being especially good as read alouds to share. And you can then have a browse. Some of them are some classic read alouds that you'll already know about. Others might be some fantastic newer titles that we have in our collection. And again, you could specifically ask for those from the collection using a specific title request if you wanted. So that's how that works. Here we go.
Cool. Right. Have we got any other questions? Because there was a little flurry. We had some really good questions yesterday. One of the questions that we had yesterday was around specific titles, which I find difficult to say. 5 at a time, and then you have to submit them through the box, through your trolley, but then you can, if you need to, order another 5. One of the really good, again, and it's saying that feedback is really good. One of the ideas that came through yesterday was, will the dashboard tell you when your loan has been returned? And no, at the moment it does not. But again, that's something that we filed away and parked until next time. Right, is the system of adding the books to the school library straightforward? Yes, it is once you've done it 2 or 3 times. Does somebody that has more experience, because I have a public library background, does somebody that has more experience in a school library want to answer that one for me?
Yep, I could do that one as well. Or Chrissy, actually, it'll how you do it actually depends on which library management software you're using. So systems like Access It or Athenaeum will both have some quick cataloguing methods. So you might be using Z3950 server to pull down catalogue information, or it will have an import option. And this is the one where basically you point your software at a file that contains, some information about the book, the ISBN, author, title, and barcode really is the minimum that you need. And what we can do is we can set it up so that when we issue books to you, we can also send you the file that contains that data. So you need 2 things. You need the file from us, and we can help you with that. And you need to be familiar with the way that your library software does a data import, which your software supplier will be able to help you with. So if you're not sure whether your system can do it, or you think it can, but you're not sure exactly how, talk to the ILS support help desk about that and get in touch with us using 0800, and we can arrange to have you emailed the data file that you'll need. So.
Awesome, and there's been some really helpful hints coming through in the chat as well. And Tracy had a really good idea that she creates a new library within her catalogue just for the National Library books. And that makes it easy then when you return them to be able to withdraw them off the catalogue. Putting them on the catalogue does help them to be seen in your library catalogue system so that teachers and students can see that they're there. So that's a really good tip. And any of those tips that you want to share in the chat is all good as well.
I should say just quickly with that too, you can just use the National Library's barcode. You don't have to worry about assigning one from your own school, range of barcodes. When you import that data file, it's going to bring in a barcode that will work. So just use our barcode, scan the, from the back of the library book, and off you go. You don't have to worry about assigning new ones.
Okay, and Sharon's just saying that she's got Oliver. So if there's somebody out there that could help her with that, just let us know and we can put you in touch with each other, or Sharon, I can get your local facilitator to give you a call. Okay, there doesn't seem to be any more questions. So what we'll do now is talk about, she says, trying to manage her screens. What comes next? Miriam.
Okay, so getting ready for this change. And as Anne said, and Kathy and everyone has said, really what happens with where we are in the next little while is a bit up in the air. But we have just under a fortnight until these changes are happening. So the current loan request period is set to close on Friday, the 27th of August. And what we're going to do is on that day, we will close things off a little bit early. So from about 4 o'clock that afternoon, the dashboard will be unavailable while these changes are launched. And then on Monday, the 30th, the new model and the new dashboard and forms will go live, but that's probably going to happen around about midday. And also on that day, all the help information on our website will be updated as well. So everything is ready to go all at once on the 30th. So you have a little bit of time, and this might be a bit tricky depending on where we are, but a wee bit of time to get ready for those changes to happen. So if you're already a loan coordinator for your school, that's awesome. As Kathy said, the main thing to do probably is just to get in touch with your teaching colleagues and let them know that changes are coming. If you are not a loan coordinator yet and you'd like to be, or you're not sure who is in your school, then get in touch with us and we can help you work that out. Each school can have 2 loan coordinators, so you may just have one for now, and you might want to set up a second one. That's absolutely fine. We can help you get that set up. So that's your first thing to check out. Secondly, and again, this is going to depend on what can happen face-to-face and where, we have planned all of our upcoming network meetings this term to include some time to talk about the changes with the lending service as well. So some of those might end up having to happen as more Zoom meetings, but crossing fingers that everybody does the right thing. We might be back in schools and doing some of that face-to-face. We've also got a few loan coordinator workshops planned, and so far those are scheduled in Auckland, Wellington and Christchurch. You can see the dates and times for those on our website, but that again is going to be, let's wait and see what happens, I'm afraid. And so that's all we can do for now, but as from the 30th, you will be able to sign in and see all of these changes happening. And as Anne has said, between now and then, if you've got any questions or concerns about any of it, drop us a line, give us a call on 0800, and we'll do our best to answer any questions that you have and make sure that everybody is as ready as they can be for the changes on the 30th. Rightio. That's all we have for that one. And I think, Anne, if there are no more questions in the chat, then we might wind this up. We're a little bit early, but let's finish with our karakia. Kia irihia te kiti kōrero ki te tāhuru o tui whare. Kia wātia nā taumaha o tēnei hui. Kia wairia nā tāpū o tēnei wānanga. Tūturu, whakamoa, kia tina, tina. Homie, huie, tai kie. Thanks everybody for coming. It's been lovely to have your company this afternoon when everybody turned out to unexpectedly perhaps have a bit more time on their hands for some PD. And we look forward to catching up with you face to face in the near future, fingers crossed. Take care, everyone. Don't forget to wash your hands and scan in if you're out and about. Thanks. Bye-bye.